not gonna lie, I'm kind of scared because it's the first time I've recorded a YouTube video, and having the camera stare at me like this again feels pretty weird, but you know, I guess we'll just go with it. So today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about how to stay grounded through the external. So here I have a whiteboard that basically has my 3 main points here, plus this right here. Hopefully you guys can see it well. And hopefully the camera is focusing. This is my first time using my newer camera, which doesn't have like a flip out lens, so I can't even see if I'm in focus or not. I just have to kind of guess and go by. But basically what we're going to be going over today is how to stay grounded through the external. So actually, before I go through any of these 3 main points, I'm going to be going over 2 different stories for you guys. Now actually, before I even go through these stories, we're going to talk about what the external is. And to put it very, very simply, the external is just basically anything outside yourself. Anything that's not in here. It can be other people, it can be objects, it could be this TV, it could be your next door neighbor, it could be your best friend, your family, anyone. That is the external. And basically the 3 stories I'm going to be going over today is how things from the external have brought down my life, but also how I managed to find clarity in each of those situations. I'm going to be going over 2 main stories today, just from my past and kind of how I learned from them and learned to stay more grounded in my internal state rather than being so focused on the external. Because when you're all focused on the external, it's so easy to lose track of what you really want deep down, your main purpose, your main goals, your main drive. It's so easy to just lose all of it. This doesn't even have to be by someone directly doing something negative to you. It's something that many of us may not want to admit, but jealousy is another thing that is heavily external focused. You can actually see other people's accomplishments and still be negatively affected by those things, which is not good, which is why today we're going to be going over how to stay grounded in the external. So basically the first story I'm going to tell you guys, I was about like 14, 13 years old. I had this YouTube channel going. I'm about 19 years old now, so this was, some time ago in the early teen years. I had like a few hundred subscribers. I mainly just did stuff like gaming, like some graphic design stuff. It was very much just like a little fun thing for me to do, but I loved it. I loved interacting with the little community I did have there. Even just like creating videos in general was just something I was so passionate about, and I absolutely loved it. So one day, it was like an evening, I was going across YouTube and I found this live stream of this dude who is reviewing people's channels for donations. So basically, if you sent in $5, this dude would review your channel live and you get exposure, is what I thought. And that the critique probably wouldn't be that heavy, So yeah, I was about 14 and 13. So essentially what I did is I joined the live stream. I donated the $5 to have my little gaming channel review. It wasn't like directly gaming, it was whatever I felt like making, pretty much was the channel. But I sent in about $5 to have my channel reviewed. I remember I was so excited, like it was getting closer and closer to him reviewing my channel. I'm not going to say the name of the YouTuber because I'm not trying to start any ill will. This was years ago, all right? I'm not, it's a stupid little thing, but it's a good example for, the topic of today. So yeah, I remember I submitted my channel, it was getting close, I was getting so excited, and he finally got to my channel. And long story short, I got absolutely panned to the ground. All right, he was really ruthless with his critiques. He reviewed it for about 45 seconds and then just moved on. And I remember my soul was absolutely crushed because this was also in front of a good amount of viewers for a live stream, and it was on a channel that was getting some pretty stagnant growth at the time. So I remember, especially being like the age I was, like 13, 14, I was absolutely crushed by this. Anytime I would create a YouTube video after that, I would just overthink it so much, to the point where I actually ended up deleting that channel, which sucks because I would love to go back to it and just for the nostalgia, just to see my younger self, what I was doing, and the content I was creating. It was just, I look back, I wish I could tell myself like, hey, like hang in there, this is a very small thing in the long run. You shouldn't let that, impact your internal creativity and, everything you want to do, your goals, your motives, all that. But I remember at the time, I was absolutely crushed. I quit YouTube, I quit my channel. I went full time to graphic design, which was amazing. I created some really cool stuff and kind of, manifested that into something great. But still, I let that insecurity kind of take me over, and I ended up deleting that channel. Now, example number 2 is actually a more recent one. This was last year. So for a lot of last year, I was actually spending a lot of my time working on this music project that I created. I was creating a 3-song EP, which is basically just like a mini album, and I was going to put this out, promote it as much as possible. Again, just another thing that was just like a fun body of work for me to do. I don't think I took it too seriously looking back, but yeah, I was still like serious about promoting it and everything. So essentially I spent probably a month creating this project, and I had all the promotion stuff laid out there. I had everything scheduled how I wanted. The project sounded exactly how I wanted it to sound at the time, and I was loving it. I was all over. I was so excited to put it out there. And part of the promotional strategy I had was to have it reposted on this hip hop channel that was pretty popular. And I'm not gonna lie, I did pay some pretty big bucks to have this shown on the channel, just because I wanted the exposure. I wanted people to see my stuff. Looking back, I would have done things a lot differently, but at the time this is just the way things were, and the way I wanted to do it with promotion and everything. So basically I paid to have one of the songs reposted on this hip hop channel that was pretty popular. So I remember I posted it, I dropped the whole entire music project, and for the longest while I remember I thought things were going absolutely amazing, which they were. The music was gaining a lot of views from that repost. I was actually getting emails from like decently big promotional teams, which was something that was a first for me. I remember I was like in shock, and I thought things were like going so good. But yeah, it got reposted. I remember thinking, man, this is great. Things are going amazing. I'm getting contacted by these semi-big promotional teams. My shit's getting views. I assumed that people were loving what I was putting out. Well, just wait till I check the comments on the single that I promoted, because God, whoo, you would not believe it. It was hundreds and hundreds of bad, terrible comments about the music. Some of them even about me. Some silly ones like, what's this white dude doing on here doing this shit? Of course there were some playful ones, but there was also some really personal ones that like hit me like to the point where I couldn't even open a music session for months on end. I would say it took me to beginning of this year to actually like start creating stuff again, and really love what I was creating and all that. But I remember at the time my soul was absolutely crushed. There was a comment saying that if this kid really thinks he's gonna make it in music, like he should just quit now. It was something like that. I don't remember it word for word. I actually requested to have the video taken down off of the channel because I was so embarrassed by the comments. Like, it was the most amount of, I guess you could call it, hate that I've like ever gone in my entire life. And listen, I'm not as young as I was, in that first story, but I'm 19 now, still young enough, I think, to have that stuff affect me. I mean, for anyone, like no matter how old you are, and I think no matter how old you are, that stuff is still gonna affect you, especially if you're putting a body of work out there, no matter how it sounds like. If you put time and effort into it at the end of the day, and you put everything you could to get just negative comment after negative comment after negative comment, it is something that weighs on you a good number. And I remember I had to take so much time, to kind of rebuild this internal part of me, that wasn't really focused on the external, what other people thought of what I did, or, just not letting other people affect the art I create in general, whether it be YouTube, whether it be music, whether it be a graphic design piece, anything I make. No one deserves to have an effect on that except for me. And that's something I realized today, but at the time, I remember it was so hard to grasp that. Of course, if I had it the way I wanted it, I would look back and be like, okay, that person didn't like the content I was creating, whether it be YouTube, whether it be music, and be like, okay, I take that. If anything they say is true, really that resonates with me, then I take it, I use it, but I just move on, don't really let it affect me much. But at the time, in the heat of those moments, it was very, very hard for me to grasp that. And these are great examples because each of these happened when I was way too focused on the external, what other people were saying about my art, what other people were saying about me. I remember around the time of the second story too, I also had some pretty negative personal life experiences happen, such as friends leaving, people not being who I really thought they were. It was just a giant combination of just a lot of negative weight, and I had to take a lot of time for myself towards the end of that year into the beginning of this year. And it's something that's an ever ongoing process, but I can say that right now I'm very much so focused on the internal that the external just kind of bounces off me nowadays. But I'm gonna be telling you guys how I got there finally, and the tools I've used to really focus on the internal and block the external out, because it's an easy thing to say and it's a hard thing to do, and it's something that takes time, it's something that takes patience, it's something that takes a lot of resilience, but it is pretty simple in concept. So I'm going to be going over that with you guys today. Okay, so point number one we have here is be dismissive. Hopefully you guys can see that. Be dismissive with exceptions. Okay, so as I said before, no one should have an impact on what you do, what you create, what you say, your actions, anything except for yourself. However, unless you get a critique, something someone says, whatever it may be, that actually resonates, that is something you want to change, then by all means go for it. Focus on that, change it, fix it, whatever you need to do. But majority of the time you have to be pretty dismissive. And God, there's so many ways to make this easier. One of the simplest things I can recommend on the internet, at least, is just stop checking comments. It's easy. I guarantee you there isn't a comment that someone's gonna leave that's gonna be like an emergency and you have to like get home. Like, no, they're comments, dude. You don't need to read them. Stop focusing on them. And this may be a bit of a surprise to some of you guys, but good or bad comments, just don't read them. Especially we're in this state, if you're so focused on the external, just don't read any of it, because none of it should matter to you unless, there is some insight in there that will be beneficial to you. But especially if you're in the beginning stages of this and really focusing on the internal, you gotta ignore all of it. You gotta find what you really want in the first place. However, number one is pretty hard to do without the other two. So I'm gonna go over those two right now actually so you guys can see the connection. And number two is focus on your ability. It's actually a lyric in a Foster the People song that I like a lot. So so focus on your ability. It's exactly how it sounds. You gotta find something that you, and I mean you, only you, exclusively you, that you are a god at, okay? This can be anything. It doesn't even have to be an art form. I mean, I don't know if YouTube is exactly an art form, but it could be YouTube, it could be music, it could be graphic design, it could be hiking, it could be anything. It could be the smallest of shit. You could be a god at chess. I don't care what it is. You could be super knowledgeable about something, but focus on that. Hone everything into that. But you can't just do this and have the rest of your life be a show, okay? I've actually found that there's a lot of power in just sitting and doing nothing. I know, it sounds weird, but when you do this for a little bit, you'll notice, I guess you can call it trauma, but when you do this, you'll notice like past things start coming up, and you'll notice that you can actually start kind of healing from them. And the reason I say this is because we desensitize ourselves so much, not just from the internet. I know it's common, dopamine detox, and from the internet and social media and all that. I'm talking more than just the internet. I'm talking you have to have some individual time, and we'll be getting into this later, but you have to have individual time for just you. Not even with friends, not with the internet. You need time for you. You gotta solo out this for a good while. And this is something you kind of just have to let your intuition guide you with, because when you see these past things pop up, it'll also come to mind what you should be doing right now. And like I said, this is something that you have to let your intuition guide you in. Maybe you want to start cold showers. Maybe you want to start eating better. Maybe it's no. I don't care what it is. There's things for each of us individually that we need to focus on and put time into. So like I said, I recommend not only just focusing on your ability, and again, focusing on your ability is something that's going to take time, because it may take time for you to find that thing that really strikes a chord with you. Not just a thing, I'm talking finding something you love, no matter how good you are at it, because if you love it, the chances are the more you'll do it, the greater you'll become at it. And again, this is something you have to be patient with. You have to take time to explore. Not just find something that you're at least decent at, but find something that you absolutely love doing that. It becomes like an addiction, all right? You want to be addicted to your work in the least harmful way possible, of course. But the reason I say take time, do nothing is because trauma healing and becoming good at whatever you're focusing on actually go hand in hand. I find, at least in my experience, that you can't really reach the next level of what you're doing, whatever it may be, whatever art form, whatever you decide to do. You can't really reach the next level in that unless you kind of heal along with it. For example, if For example, if you're into music, you'll notice great albums come from great life experiences. You'll notice impactful albums come from impactful life experiences. It's all connected. Your healing from your past, your trauma healing, you building new and better habits will actually go hand in hand with whatever you are focusing on, and you can actually work your way up both ladders at the same time. These things go hand in hand. So take time, do nothing for a bit, see what pops up, feel that trauma out, and realize what you should do next. When I say do nothing, it doesn't have to be staring at a wall. Go out for a walk in nature. I notice sometimes when I go out with nature and everything, it's easier for me to kind of see what I should be healing and what I should be focusing on. So take that time to feel things out, sensitize your mind, while also focusing on your ability, finding that ability, and really just becoming addicted to it and excelling at it step by step. It's a lot easier said than done, but that's honestly the best way I can explain it. For example, for me, it is these YouTube videos. It's also music. I also love photography. I love graphic design. It's a whole combination of things for me. But honestly, I don't think I would be making this YouTube video right now if I didn't heal and feel a lot of what happened in my past, you know, in the 2 stories I mentioned, for example. So yeah, basically just to recap that, focus on your ability, not just that, find your ability, explore, take time to actually do nothing, let that past stuff come up, heal from it, feel through it, build new and healthy habits at the same time, and grow your life as you grow your ability or whatever you're focused on. Again, both will typically grow together. Like if your personal life is down here, it's really hard for whatever you're focusing on to be, you know, up here, and that's best. All right, I feel like I just spent like an hour going over point number 2, but I think it's just because I want to get everything out of the way and make it clear as possible for you guys. But finally, we're on to point number 3. That is distance yourself. Now, when I say distancing yourself, I'm not just talking about in point number 1 in, you know, getting off social media and all that, which is fantastic. You want to distance yourself from anything, especially in the early stages of this, that might trigger, you know, that external, you know, reaction to pop up in you. I actually pretty much quit watching YouTube a while ago because I found myself actually getting angry at the content that was popping up in my recommended, which is so stupid because it's just like, well, dude, just click off of it, just leave it. But I remember I'd always scroll through content, be like, oh, like, why is this getting views? Why is this? And, you know, and just getting real cynical about it. And it's such a waste of time. It could be something like that. But I'm also talking distancing yourself from people that are triggers. Anybody in your life that you notice is triggering these negative external reactions in you, no matter what it is, even if they're a good person, but it's something that's happening that's triggering that in you, distance yourself for a bit, especially in the early phases. Because tied to point number 2, you're going to want to be taking a lot of time for yourself anyway. Compartmentalize people, you know? Don't pay attention to the fact that Jimmy just won like 10 soccer games within the past month when you're just sitting there watching him do that. No, stop looking at Jimmy's accomplishments. Look at what you can do and harness your energy into that. And I get that sometimes it's hard to ignore. Sometimes things will pop up that may trigger that. You know, sometimes a comment or things will pop up that you just can't avoid, but just do your best to distance yourself from that. And if you find yourself getting affected by it, take some time for yourself to find that next thing that you can do to further better your life and better your ability. For some reason, loneliness has always been looked at with a negative connotation. And I think loneliness is kind of a bad word because it automatically kind of puts that negative connotation onto it. But independence, you know, independence is actually a very beautiful thing if you can learn to thrive in it. And this now brings us to our last point here, which isn't really a third point. It's just a kind of all around thing to wrap this all up. And that is that you don't need to prove anything to anyone except for yourself. All right. If you love what you're doing, if you know you are on the right track, I don't care if it's family, I don't care if it's your own mama telling you that what you're doing isn't the right path. What? Just shh. All right. If you follow these top 3 steps, you'll already be able to shut that out. And mama don't know shit about your life and what you should be doing for you. Only you know that. And consistency and patience is beautiful because you'll notice the more consistent you are with these first 3 things, it's easy to reassure yourself or to reassure yourself anytime someone else is doubting you, because you know you're on the right path. And it's a feeling you get, you know, it's something I can't really put into words for you guys. You know, if you put out an artistic project that 500 people end up hating, but you absolutely love it, focus on that one person who loves it, which is you. And that's what you should be focusing on at the end of the day. You know, my brain always feels like I'm missing details or things I should have added, but as far as right now, in this moment, everything I just covered is about everything I can say about staying grounded through the external. And again, this is something that is very much a forever ongoing process. Even with me, you know, a big reason I actually made this video right now in this moment is because I found myself kind of getting degrounded from my internal state. I was working on a song actually, and I was getting super impatient about it because I found myself wanting to prove myself, you know, to other people who may have been doing better than me financially, artistically, this and that, whatever. But at the end of the day, the whole reason I should and you should be getting something done is because you want to one up what you did before. You want to prove, you know, you 5 days ago, you a month ago, whatever it may be, that this is you now and that you are improving. And if you're improving, that's all you should be focusing on. But I think that's actually everything I needed to cover in this video. So hopefully this video was of use to you guys out there trying to get more grounded in your internal state, really tuning out the external. Follow these steps, all right, right here to a T, and I promise you, you will see results, all right? Just stay focused on it, stay consistent. That is the biggest part of it, all right? Focus on your ability. Listen to Houdini by Foster the People. It's a great little affirmation song, kind of a theme song for this video. But that is about it. This is my first video ever on this channel, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, rest of your night. And it's been so long that I don't really know how to outro this video actually, so